Hey everyone, it's Mark Hessman here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO. It is time for a Wednesday midweek update video, and I wanted to jump into Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio just released his power rankings. Now, he's calling it his 2024 pre-camp power rankings. Now, we've already talked about how Mike Florio's co-host Chris Sims did his quarterback rankings. So I picked apart Chris Sims' quarterback rankings. Now I'm going to pick apart just a little bit Mike Florio's pre-camp 2024 NFL power rankings. And I will say, I agree with a lot of what Mike Florio has here, but I think there's a couple things that are really, really wrong. I don't want to spend time going through each one of these. So I'll go through the top 10 and how I would rearrange the top 10. And then I have three kind of big key, like, that's wrong, that's an issue, that team's too high, that team's too low. So let's get into it. As always, follow me on all social media at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen. Like and subscribe down below. I don't like doing the point down, but I guess that's what everyone does, right? Okay, so at the top, he has the Chiefs, the Niners, the Lions, the Ravens, the Eagles. That's his top five. Chiefs, Niners, Lions, Ravens, Eagles. What would I change then? I have KC at number one. Don't need to explain it any further. Kansas City's the best team in football until otherwise noted. The Lions I have at number two. Here's why. I think that the Lions locking up their three key pieces this offseason, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, creates a ton of great stability and momentum for the Lions for, hey, we're going to ride this wave. We were a play within beating the Niners in San Francisco to go to the NFC title game. The Lions, remember, because of that bad call in Dallas, certainly could have ended up actually hosting that game in Detroit last year. Right now, I just think the Lions are a better overall football team. And to be honest with you, I just think the Lions kind of have a ton more momentum on their side for the good vibes as far as how the offseason's gone with the draft, free agency, compared to what we're getting now with San Francisco, which is a bunch of Brandon Ayuk's unhappy, Deebo Samuel's unhappy, Christian got paid. That's creating more, it seems like almost more tension in the locker room. I like the Niners. I have them at 3. So me and Mike disagree just slightly there. I have the Lions ahead of the Niners. Ravens at 4, comfortable with that. I have the Ravens at 4 as well. This is a team that hosted the AFC title game last year, made changes in the offseason, brought in Derrick Henry. You got to love a lot of what the Ravens have done this offseason. Here's where I make another disagreement. So at number 5, he has the Eagles. I don't have the Eagles at 5. I love the talent on the Eagles, even though they lost Hassan Reddick, even though they lost Fletcher Cox, even though they lost Jason Kelsey. That's a lot of losses, but I still love the talent of the Eagles. I just don't have the Eagles at 5 because we saw them just completely fall apart at the end of the year last year, to the fact that they were one of the worst teams in football at the end of the year. So I'm going to move the Eagles down. I'm going to put the Packers at 5 for me. Packers, again, they were within a bad Jordan Love throwaway from beating the Niners in San Francisco to then go to the NFC title game. I like the Packers' youth. I like their coach. I like a lot of what Green Bay has going for them. I think they're going to get Jordan Love a deal locked on up here, and they're going to keep building on their momentum as a franchise as well. I see positive upward momentum for Green Bay and for Detroit. Where with San Francisco, I feel like another Super Bowl loss. Kyle Shanahan, can he get it done? A little trouble in paradise with the weapons and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. I feel a little negative vibes. They're still an incredible football team. All top 5 of these teams that I've named so far, I think are all capable of winning a Super Bowl this year. I throw Green Bay in that category, absolutely. I then go Bills at 6, Bengals at 7, Eagles at 8. He has Packers 6, Bills 7, Bengals 8. So not a ton of disagreement there. I'm just going to keep the Eagles lower because there was such a bad end of the year last year. And again, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and they lost a ton of veteran talent in that locker room and kind of the heart and soul of the team. You could argue with Fletcher Cox and certainly with Jason Kelsey. And then to round out the top 10, I have the Texans 9, the Rams 10. He has The Buccaneers 9, which kudos to the Buccaneers. They won a playoff game against the Eagles team that he has ranked at number 5. And then you have the Texans at 10. I'm going to put the Texans at 9, and I'm going to put the Rams at 10. The Rams obviously made the playoffs last year. Young roster, getting better. Yeah, they lost Aaron Donald, but they drafted really well 2 years ago. They had an incredible draft this year. Sean McVay, in my opinion, second best coach in football right now. And so I'm bullish on the Rams more so than Mike Florio. He has the Rams at 13. I think that's too low. So that's my top 10. Kansas City, if you made me do a top 10 right now, which again, Mike Florio is doing it, pre-camp edition of the top 10. It's just power rankings in general. It's just so funny that they have to do that, in the content game. And I bless them because it gives me content to kind of rip apart and go through. But my top 10, the biggest difference is I have the Eagles a couple slots lower. I'll put the Packers in that Eagles slot. And then I like the Rams in the top 10 more than Mike does. It's not like Mike doesn't like the Rams. He has them at 13. But I think the Rams, especially if Matthew Stafford's healthy, with those weapons, that head coach, and this young, improving defense, I'd like them as a top 10 team in the NFL. So the rest of the list for Mike Florio, some things that stand out. Dolphins 11, maybe a little high. Cowboys at 16, Bears at 17. He's bullish on the Bears. I would struggle to put the Bears at like 17, but it's probably where I would like peak them out at but they're somewhere in that 17 to 20 range to start the season, just because we just don't know with Caleb Williams. We have a lot of knowns, Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and an improved offensive line, and all those things are known commodities. Still some questions with the unknown commodities. But here my biggest complaint when I look at this list is the Broncos are way too high. He has the Broncos at 22. And I have that as way too high, considering especially because he has the Raiders at 26. I would flip almost the Broncos and the Raiders. I've been an anti-Broncos all offseason. I've been struggling with the Broncos' decisions with the quarterback. I don't love the Bo Nix move. I don't love the Zach Wilson move. I think the Broncos are going to be real disappointments this year. I just don't love their roster. Sean Payton's put a ton of faith in himself to be a superstar, to get a lot out of a little in far as the quarterback position goes. So the fact that he has the Broncos over a team like the Vikings, the Saints, the Jets, he has the Jets way too low. The Raiders, I don't see that. I would put all of those teams, especially ahead of the Broncos. I think the Broncos fall somewhere around that 26 spot. They're better than the Titans, the Giants, Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots, Panthers. I'll give them that. But I'm not putting them ahead of the Raiders, the Jets, the Saints, the Vikings, like he has. So I'm going to move the Broncos down. I'm going to move the Jets up as well. The Jets at 25 is a hater play. He's doing that for clicks, and kudos to Mike. But come on, you're doing that for clicks. This Jets roster is extremely talented. They picked up Hassan Reddick, as we were mentioning. He lost from the Eagles. They got to get him in camp. Obviously, you hope if Aaron Rodgers healthy that he plays more than 4 snaps. I would put the Jets ahead of Saints, Vikings, Broncos, Seahawks, Jags. He has the Jags at 20. I'd put him ahead of the Falcons at 19. I'd put him ahead of the Colts, certainly at 18. I'd probably find the Jets a home somewhere in that 14 to 17 range if I was really going through this right now. And then finally, Steelers at 14. I struggle with that. The quarterback position is so important. It's so important. And I know I love the Steelers roster. It's a fantastic roster. But at 14, ahead of the Chargers with Justin Herbert, I don't see it. I don't see them even being ahead of the Cowboys at 16. The rosters are comparable. They're veteran-led. But at least the Cowboys have a quarterback who was second in MVP voting. And I don't like Dak, but I know at least what I'm getting from Dak. I have no idea what I'm getting from Russell Wilson or Justin Fields this year. So I might move the Steelers down, move the Jets up into maybe that Steelers spot. And then everything else, though, for the most part, nothing to write home about. I think he's getting a little clickbaity with the Jets being so low. I don't love the Broncos. I think he's overvaluing the Broncos at 22. And then our other big difference would be the Eagles. I have the Eagles more around that 8-9 range. He has them at 4 or 5 range. difference of opinions. I just got to wait and see what I'm getting from Nick Sirianni this year as he leads that Eagles team. So there you go. That's my breakdown of the Mike Florio Pro Football Talk 2024 pre-camp power rankings, which is it's just funny. Like, right, we're doing pre-camp power rankings at the end of June, but this is what we do when we love football. Kansas City 1, Lions 2, Niners 3, Ravens 4, Packers 5. Those are my top 5 to start off right now, if you were making me rank the top 5 teams in the NFL. Tune in every Saturday morning, News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app to On the Mark. You can always subscribe here at Mark Hespin, and then all social media at Mark Hespin. That's Instagram, that's Twitter /X, and then here obviously on YouTube at Mark Hespin. All right, we'll see you Saturday morning.